Welcome to the latest episode of the Small Business Sit Down, where we sit down with local business owners and deep dive into what makes them great. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify to avoid missing out on our latest episodes released every Wednesday. For this week's episode, we're excited to have Joe Samo. Samo?
Yes,
okay. Joe is the founder of Samo Law Group, which specializes in personal injury law. He's also a comedian who does stand-up around the North County, San Diego area. Joe, thanks for sitting down with us today.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
I think the best thing we can do is to go into what makes you you, what makes you different. So how did you start off? What's your background?
Oh, let me make sure I don't say anything incriminating while I'm here.
You're the lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I ever since I was a kid, I was interested in being a lawyer. And I went to college, and then I went to law school. That was in the 90s. I'm kind of older than you, my friend, right?
Well, you know.
So, yeah, and then after I finished, I went to law school at Berkeley, and then I worked for a big law firm for a couple years, and then I started my own gig. And so let's see, that was in 2002. Then I went out on my own. So I've been a sole practitioner since 2002. So I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to help a lot of San Diegans with their legal issues. And the one good, for better or worse, as a sole practitioner, you end up getting these clients that they have different problems. So I ended up learning a lot of different laws. Sometimes it was they got in criminal trouble, or they had a family law issue, or there were personal injury deal. So I got a chance to do a bunch of different things for them.
That's great. Have you always been a San Diegan then?
Yes. I mean, well, I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. And when
no.
Right, that's right. So no. And my family moved here when I was very small. So I was about 6 years old when we came to San Diego from Baghdad, and I've been here ever since, except for when I went away to school. Otherwise, I've always lived in San Diego.
Has it been, how has it been? Are both your parents from Iraq then?
Yes.
Has it been different coming up from a family that's first generation?
Yeah, it did. And it seems like ever since 1991, the U.S. and Iraq have been at war for some freaking crazy reason. Of all the countries in the world, Iraq has been in war with the United States the longest.
Longest out of
that was kind of difficult. Although in the past year or two, I think that anger went from Arab Americans to Chinese Americans after the coronavirus and whatnot. So I have a joke that I say about that. I'm like, oh, wow, the Arabs are no longer the most hated in the U.S.
Lucky for you, not for some.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So how did you get started in law then? So you said you wanted to be a lawyer from when you were a kid. What event was it that made you think, I want to be a lawyer?
For some crazy reason, I always like to read the fine print and the technical rules, and I love football, and I would buy the rule book literally for the NFL, and I just enjoyed reading all these little technicalities. When I was 15, I was learning how to drive and whatnot, and I remember you have to have car insurance, right? And for some crazy reason, I actually read the insurance policy, which is this crazy contract, and I ended up telling my dad. I said, Dad, I'm not covered in this insurance contract. He said, what? I'm paying for you. I'm like, look at this. Section 43, paragraph 12 says anyone under 17 is not covered. I found this so he called the insurance broker, and even they were surprised. And I just remember always, I always like that kind of stuff.
That actually, I bet that happens a lot more than you would think, that the actual people doing the work don't understand what's in their own agreements that they have people sign.
That's right.
Is that really common, you think?
Yes. In fact, it's in, and all of us, right? You sign up for an email account or online banking or, whatever, social media and 10 million things. People don't know it, but they agree to things daily that they would not understand.
And I'm guessing that even the people at Facebook or at the social media companies don't understand.
Exactly.
It's like some legal team in the back that makes all these, that writes all these contracts. And, of course, the users don't read it, but I doubt the employees even read it.
Exactly. Everyone just clicks agree because you can't go on to the next page.
Exactly. It's like, agree, well, I don't have a choice.
Yes. Exactly. So I was one of those nerds that would actually read that.
That's crazy because I've worked with doing some legal contracts for my own businesses and things like that. And sometimes it's very hard to even read through and the contract that you've written. You know what I mean? Like there's something about legal language and that makes things difficult to read large amounts of.
Right. Yes. And I joke with people, like, my wife and my son, for example, like, they love reading Harry Potter. And I always joke with them. I say, I cannot get through a book of Harry Potter, but I could read 5,000 pages of contracts. I could get through that. I don't know why. So that's why I went into it. Yeah.
I guess better you than me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not a nerd like me. So yes, better you.
I may be a different kind of nerd. I don't know. So, and then right now you run your own law group.
That's right. Yes.
And so when you first came out of school, brand new law graduate, I'm guessing you didn't go straight into just starting your own firm, but did you?
No, I went into a big law firm in San Diego. I worked there for a couple of years, and then I started my own firm. I just, back then I was younger, and I just think getting bossed around just was never for me, even when I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of weird, the law firm. We had, I had a lot of different partners who were my bosses, and they wanted different things at different times, and I had to babysit and manage them. And then eventually I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do it on my own?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a little bit of freedom to being your own, owning your own business.
It is, and you know how it is. There's the freedom of owning your own business, and then there's the lack of the paycheck every other week. So yes. You have to do your own hunting and gathering, as I like to say, right? You're the same,
Yeah. So, I mean, when we started our company, Star Fox Media, the whole concept was that there's a lot of people out there that have their own businesses. They're great at what they do. Honestly, lawyers is one of the example I use, which is like, you're really good at law, but when you start your own law practice, now you have to be a good businessman. And you have to take care of not just the work for your clients, but you also have to take care of the work for your own business. And part of that includes doing your own marketing, doing your own accounting, doing your own, all that, like all those, administration, all the ancillary things to your full business. So we were thinking, how can we help people like that who are very talented at what they do, but like that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good salesperson or a good marketer.
That's
and
right,
so
yeah.
Some of the best lawyers, maybe no one's ever heard of them, and they don't get hired because they're not good marketers. They're good lawyers, not good marketers. So
exactly, yes.
Our idea was, let's start a marketing company, and we can partner with these like business owners, and we can take that role from them. So they can concentrate on the things they're good at. We can do what we're good at. They can do what they're good at, and everyone can be better off in the end. So
that's brilliant. I love that idea, and. Yeah, I agree. And it's not just lawyers, like you said. I mean, there are a lot of doctors, like dentists and chiropractors and orthodontists. And these folks, God bless them. They went to medical school and for years, right? They learned biology and whatever it was, okay? And then they get out, and they could be, if you're the best orthodontist in the world, it doesn't mean you'll make any money.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Because if you don't market, if you don't network, if you don't have people coming to you, with their broken teeth or whatever, right? They're not going to make any money. Oh, wow. That's where you come in.
That's the concept, right? That's the idea. So, So in your current practice, you focus mostly on personal injury cases. Is that correct?
We do a lot of personal injury, yes.
Okay.
And a lot of business litigation. And then with that, then there's different business contracts. And because I enjoy filming and comedy, all of a sudden I had the chance to meet a lot of folks like yourself. So then I started doing a lot of film work, legal work.
Yeah.
Like you said, the contracts. And
we'll definitely get into the comedy piece a little bit later, because that's an interesting conversation. So
yeah, and I met a lot of people that way too. So,
so how did you choose personal injury? Was that just what you did before?
No, it's let me see how I could say this the right way. It's an interesting area of law, and it's one area where you could really help someone that is in need of help. I mean, if they get, some sort of like crazy injury, like let's say today, God forbid, one of the lights or something catches on fire and it, burns your arm, right? I mean, that's going to change your life, for the worse. And it's really crazy. It could just be that, imagine if that happens and you can't get any compensation. You can't go to work, or, and you're in pain every day and you can't go to work. So then the lawyers would step in to see, well, was that light manufactured improperly? Was the design defectively? Is the building improperly equipped? Is there enough, fire ventilators or sprinklers, things like that? And then we might be able to find a way to get you compensation, where otherwise there's no way, people that don't do this for a living would know how to do that. So I was able to actually help people, and most importantly, the little guy, as I like to say.
Well, it's interesting because, insurance helps, but it doesn't always fix everything, right? Like your health insurance isn't necessarily going to pay for the time you miss at work. It might not pay for the pain and suffering that the day-to-day kind of things. It'll maybe you won't have a hospital bill. Maybe. Yeah. Or the hospital bill will only be $300,000 instead of $5 million. Yeah. I have a joke about insurance, and that is, whatever let's say you go to the insurance company, say, I make this claim, I got this problem, blah, blah, blah. My joke is that they always say, everything is covered except that one little problem that you have. Everything's covered except that.
Except that. Yes. So that's where I come in to get it covered.
And so running your own practice then, as we said a little, there's pros and cons to it, right? And some of the great parts about running your own business is the fact that you get to make your own schedule. Sometimes you have to work to your client's schedules.
Of course, yeah, or the court,
or the court, especially in your case, it's all scheduled, all very. Yes. Do you do a lot of court appearances? Do you do trials and things like that?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I bet that and stand-up are exactly the same.
You'd be surprised how much more related they are than you think. Yeah.
So what are some of the other challenges that you have as a business owner?
I think, you definitely nailed it on the head about the marketing, and that's getting people in and, getting the calls, so to speak, and getting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big challenge. I think another challenge is always, it's like you said, just the business operations. The lawyer ring. I went to college and I went to law school, and there was years of experience. And even before I, did my, first hour, even in law school, we did internships at the court or at a law firm, right? So then when you run your own practice, it's like the least, the thing I get to the last, I call it, is the actual legal work. It goes, the marketing, the business operations, the payroll, this and that. And then at the very, very end, I do what I'm supposed to be doing all the time, which is the lawyering.
What percent do you think, if you had to break that down, goes to actual lawyering?
Remember that scene in Office Space where he says, in any given week, I'd say I only do about 15 minutes of real work.
What is it you say you would do here?
Yeah. Probably 20% of it is the actual legal work, like crunching the legal precedent and reading the cases and drafting a motion to the judge. I'd say maybe 20% of it. Yeah.
Do you work with a team, or is it just you?
No, I have a couple of employees, and I have an accountant. And everything's gotten tougher now with this Corona stuff, mm-hmm. right? So I do have a team, and so I manage them, and they've been amazing. Even during this, with this Corona stuff, and now we're working remotely, but we've been able to do it. So
manage somehow.
Yes. When you have to get it done, you find a way. So
necessity breeds creativity. I guess.
And necessity breeds creativity, innovation. Yeah.
So, what are your future plans for the business? Do you plan on growing the business? Do you plan on taking on more employees? Do you plan on just, keeping it where it is now so you can focus on your comedy career? What's the future?
I always like to grow, and I always want, and that's why, I like to meet people and get my name out there, because I do want to grow. And if we're, fortunate enough to keep getting more cases, one of the things I enjoy the most is then, bringing on another lawyer, especially if it's someone out of law school. It's like I get the opportunity to kind of show them the way how it's done. I actually love teaching. So I would love to have, 20 lawyers that I'm showing them how to do the work and giving them, having my experience get to them. So it would be good to keep growing.
That's awesome. And how did you then, like, let's get to that comedy part. So a lawyer, you like, reading the contracts, the legalese and all that kind of stuff. How do you go from that to standing in front of a bunch of people and telling jokes?
That's a great question. I can answer that. About 4 years ago, my friends wanted to go to a comedy show. And then we went to the comedy show and we just had such a great time. And I remember listening to comedians and thinking to myself, oh man, I want to do this. I think I could do this. I want to do this. Right. And then I just looked online and I found a comedy class and I enrolled, and it was on Saturdays. And I just enjoyed it and I just got the hang of it. I remember that first class, I sat outside and I'm like, am I really going to do this? I mean, I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to be a lawyer, like making jokes, so I almost left and I just kind of talked myself into it.
So you did the class, you made it through it somehow.
Right.
And then somehow you transitioned into actually standing in front of giant crowds of people and doing this.
Right,
so
yeah.
Like, do you write your own material? Like,
I do, yeah. And even with this Corona stuff, then I started just doing things at home and just, without an audience. It's just a little tougher. But the good news is I learned how to put the laugh track in there. But sometimes my jokes are so bad, I can't even get that to work.
I'm trying to... I wish we had the thing set up. I'd hit a laugh track right now.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'll just do it for you. But get this, believe it or not, and this I cannot understand for the life of me. One of the things that kept me back from doing this is I said, look, I'm a lawyer. If I start doing any comedy, people are gonna, shy away. Is what this guy's doing. And the opposite happened. I'd be making jokes about being a lawyer, and then people called me later. They said, oh my God, I got this legal problem. After a comedy show, someone said, oh, I had a DUI and I need your help, and so I was surprised that it actually became marketing.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works though. Sometimes it's just, there's something about authenticity, and it's like when you're doing something that you love, people resonate with it.
Yes.
And I think if you're out there doing comedy and you just mention what it is you do for a living, especially during the comedy and stuff, and it's like one of those things where you're building rapport through the comedy. You're showing an authenticity. You're showing personality and things like that. So they're getting to know you as a person. They like you. They trust you. Right. And now they find out you're a lawyer. Well, let me put this. No offense. Lawyers don't necessarily have the best reputation. So if they already know that they like you and that you're personal and all that kind of stuff, I can see how that would do wonders to breaking that misconception about lawyers.
Through the barrier and stuff.
Yeah, it breaks that barrier down where it's like, I don't know, maybe people are afraid of lawyers. It's like,
right, I get that sometimes.
I mean, I could see that most of the time people are interacting with lawyers, it's not during a great time of their life.
Yes, like they're going through a divorce, they got in criminal trouble, right?
Yeah, or they're injured and need and all that,
or they're getting sued.
Like none of those things are great.
Exactly.
And so, maybe that's almost like no one really likes dentists. Maybe it's kind of the same idea as every time I go in there, they drill on my teeth. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Dentist, yeah.
So
you don't go to the dentist, for a strip show.
Exactly.
Right.
Me and my buds went to the dentist yesterday.
Yeah. Me and my friends went to the dentist. Then we all got high with them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it,
hey, there we go. Hey. A dentist that says, after this, I'll drill your teeth, put in a cavity, and then smoke you out.
If only, I think that's one of those things they do put you under a little bit. Like maybe
right. And then
that's what they market. They stop marketing the teeth drilling. They
and then we smoke out with you. Yeah.
Beautiful. But
yes. Maybe as a lawyer, I could find a way to get that done.
Yeah. What do you think? There's any legal ramifications to smoking out your clients?
There could be.
So, I mean, you're doing the comedy sketches, and you're doing these at comedy clubs. You said, right?
Yes.
Are there multiple clubs in the area that you can go to do that?
Yeah, there was in San Diego. There's about I think 4 clubs in San Diego, maybe 5, and then other places. that aren't like a dedicated comedy club, but they do them, once a week or something. So if you count all those together, I mean, it's,
Plenty.
Tons. Yes.
And do you make the whole circuit? You kind of hit them up whenever you can?
Try to. I mean, keeping in mind, this is something that for me is, I'm passionate about. It's a very, very big hobby. And, so I try to get to it as often as possible, so I do that. Yes.
Are you a regular at any place in particular?
There's a place in San Diego. It's called the Comedy Palace. It's on Claremont Mesa. So that was, and that's where I took the class. And then I just started doing it there, and they've always kind of invited me back, things like that. So
that's awesome. And if someone wanted to come watch you do your sketch, I mean, in a normal time when it's not,
when it's all Corona stuff. Yes.
Post-COVID.
Yeah. There's going to be a post-COVID, you promise?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Post-COVID,
okay.
if someone wanted to go see your comedy, would you, or even now, do you have anything online that they can check
out?
Yeah,
I have a little YouTube channel. I can send you the link for it. So I post the stuff that I did do back in the day, the audience, in front of an audience, and then I just started goofing around and doing things at home. And I just posted that too. So,
well, I mean, if you want to name drop it really quick, I mean, we probably have it. We might have a dozen listeners to this podcast.
Okay.
So
Samo Comedy. Slamo. See, my name is Samo.
Yeah.
So the comedy guy, though, is Slamo.
Slamo Comedy.
The lawyer is Samo.
Samo and Slamo.
Yes. They're related. Samo is the professional one. Slamo is the goofball. Yes.
So, and if someone needed any help with any injury cases or anything else that it is, because you do other law, you said,
right? And if I don't, I'll find the right person that does for them.
Right. So how would they get in contact with you?
You could. That's a great question. You can call me. I'll give you my cell phone number.
if you're comfortable giving it up on the
612-672-1741, or Joe at samolaw.com. And I always tell people I could either help them or I could find the right way. And sometimes I could, in about 20 or 30 minutes, I could set them the straight, so to speak, and tell them what they need to do. The best is sometimes when people tell me, we do a consultation on the phone, and sometimes it's good to know even if they don't have a legal claim. Like I get that a lot. Like someone says, oh, I got injured this way. So I talk it through them. And then I realized, there's no legal claim, like for example, if someone tripped over a stair, after I evaluated or talked to them or look online to see the pictures of the facility or whatever, sometimes I tell them there's no claim. So I'm sorry, you have a broken knee.
You go over there, you knock on the stair, you're like, nope, that's a functioning stair.
That's a functioning stair, yeah. Just don't drink before you walk up the stairs anymore, or whatever. So sometimes it's good to know they don't have a claim so that they know, okay, wow, I got to move on some other way, I got to get back on my feet, no pun intended, some other way,
Rough.
Sorry, I know. But yeah, that's helping people though. At least they,
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do.
And that's, at the end of the day, I think that's a good mission in life. So just help people.
Yes. Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today on the Small Business Sit Down. Make sure that you like the video and subscribe for more sit downs with some of our finest local businesses. And if you're suffering from a personal injury or need of a lawyer you can trust, be sure to hit up Joe Samo on his website, samolaw.com. And for any digital marketing or video production needs, check out our website at www.starfox.media. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. Thanks.